Hello students, today we will be discussing the balance of the chapter alternating current, and we are going to start a new topic in that lesson, that is AC circuits. So we have to study various AC circuits containing resistance, then AC circuits containing capacitors, then AC circuits containing inductors, okay, then the combinations like inductor and capacitor, inductor and resistor, then the three components like inductor, capacitor, resistor. Likewise, the AC circuits you have to deal with. So before moving to that portion, you have to study at another topic, that is phasors. So phasors means they are the rotating vectors which represents the sinusoidally varying quantities. Okay, rotating vectors which represents a sinusoidally varying quantity. Sinusoidally means what? As yesterday we have studied that alternating EMF and current can be represented in the form of sine or cosine waves. It can be current or it can be voltage, isn't it, with respect to time. So such quantities, that is alternating EMF, then alternating current, etc., can be represented with the help of phasors. Phasors means rotating vectors. Don't think that these are vector quantities. These are actually scalar themselves, but the rotating vectors will represent the alternating current as well as EMF. Well, we discuss it with a diagram, you will understand that. Okay. Now, a diagram is there which represents the alternating current and EMF as rotating phasors or rotating vectors with the phase angle between them. Okay, what is this phase angle? That means you have studied the expression for current as well as EMF. Suppose I am considering current like this, I equal to I0 sine omega t, and E equal to E0 sine omega t plus phi. What does this mean? This means that this is the instantaneous value of current and EMF, then peak values of current and EMF. Okay, now this is actually the phase. So sometimes both current and EMF will be in the same phase. Okay, that means if current starts from 0, EMF also starting from 0, both can be represented in a phasor diagram. Okay, sometimes the current starts from 0, but EMF is ahead with an angle of 90 degree or a phase difference of 90 degree. Sometimes it will be lagging with an angle of 90 degree. Depending on that, there will be phase difference. Okay, if the phase difference is 0, it means that both are in the same phase. So these things, that is the phase difference, can be represented as the angle between the phasors. So in a phasor diagram, we will use phasors which we call as the rotating vectors, and the angle between these phasors, that is for EMF we will use a phasor, then current we will use a phasor. So there will be a phase difference. If there is a phase difference between the current and EMF, it can be represented with the help of phase angle. Okay, so a diagram representing alternating current, then alternating EMF as rotating vectors with the phase angle between them is known as a phasor diagram. Clear? So in this phasor diagram, the length of the vector represents the maximum value, that is I0 or E0. Okay, length of the vector represents the maximum or the peak value of current or EMF. Then the projection of the vector. You have studied in mathematics about the projection, right? Projection of the vector on a fixed axis gives the instantaneous value of current or EMF. That is the value of I or E. I equal to I naught sin omega t and E equal to E naught sin omega t. That I or E is actually the instantaneous value of current and EMF. Okay. So, in sine form, you can represent the wave in sine form or cosine form. In sine form, the I and E, that is the instantaneous value of current and EMF, that is the projection, is taken on y-axis. Okay, in the sine form, it will be in the y-axis, and if you are drawing in the cosine form, the projection is taken on the x-axis. Is much clear? Now listen. Suppose we can draw a phasor like this. Okay. The length of this vector is actually the peak value, that is I naught. Clear? Now this is the projection. Okay. So this will be the instantaneous value. The projection will give you the instantaneous value on the y-axis for a sine function. So this is actually the what? Instantaneous value. Clear for you? This is the angle omega t. Okay. In such a way, you can represent the alternating EMF also in the phasor diagram. Okay. Suppose the alternating EMF and current in a circuit are given as E equal to E0 sin omega t and I equal to I0 sin omega t plus phi. You can see here this I, that is the current, is leading voltage with a phase difference of phi here, isn't it? So you can draw the both this alternating EMF and current in the same phasor diagram. Please listen here. This is the x-axis. Now this is the y-axis. Okay. First you can draw EMF, that is E naught. Clear? It is making an angle omega t. So you can write here omega t. Now the projection of E naught will give you what? As the instantaneous value. Okay. So here this will give you the instantaneous value. That is E. Clear for you? Now again, here I is leading this E with a phase difference of phi in addition. So here you can draw I. Okay. I, which is making an angle extra phi here. So total angle is, you can see here, omega t plus phi for I. Okay. Again, this will give you the instantaneous value of current. Clear? So, this is the way of representing the phasors in a phasor diagram. So, these are the phasors. These are the phase angles between them. That is, between E naught and I naught, there is an angle of phi. E naught is making an angle of omega t with the original value. And total I naught you can take it as omega t plus phi. Okay. Clear for you? So once again, if you are naming it, let OA and OB are the phasors. That is the phasor E as well as phasor I. They are rotating with an angular velocity omega. Okay, then the projections for E naught and I naught, which is E and I, will give you the instantaneous values of EMF and current. Suppose if it is lagging behind, means you have to represent here. That is, here it will come like this. Okay, so how much it lags behind? In such a way the phasor diagrams will change depending upon the angle, and this is the easiest or simplest way to represent the sinusoidally varying quantities like alternating EMF, then alternating current, etc. Clear? So now let's move to each circuit, and the first circuit is, listen, it is an AC circuit containing only a resistor. AC circuit containing resistor only. So you can study this in the form of 4 or 5 steps. That will be easy for you. First of all, when you get the question, you can draw a circuit diagram. So here, this AC circuit is having only resistor, isn't it? So draw a circuit like this, which is having resistor, and it is connected to a source of alternating EMF. From now onwards we are studying alternating source. So this is the symbol, AC symbol used to represent that. Here we are supplying a voltage, that is the alternating voltage. So it will be E is equal to E naught sine omega t. And we have only resistor in the circuit. Understood? This is a purely resistive circuit. Okay? A resistor of resistance R is connected to a source of EMF E, which is equal to E naught sine omega t, and it is a purely resistive circuit. Okay. Now here, next step is, after drawing the circuit diagram, that's the first step, you have written the expression for instantaneous EMF or instantaneous voltage. Next step is to find the expression for current. Okay, find an expression for current. So for that, let us consider E as the potential drop across the resistor R. Okay, E is the potential drop across the resistance R. Okay, therefore you know, as there is a resistance R and if there is a potential drop, the value is E is equal to I into R, isn't it? E equal to I into R. Now the instantaneous EMF which is given by E is actually the instantaneous value of potential drop. Clear? Instantaneous EMF, from the expression we are writing instantaneous EMF is equal to instantaneous value of potential drop. Now our aim is to find the expression for current, right? So we have the expression E equal to E0 sin omega t. Now we have written the potential drop also, that is E equal to IR. So you can equate the RHS of these two equations. So you will get IR is equal to E, which is equal to E0 sin omega t. Correct? Therefore, I is actually equal to E by R. That is clear from Ohm's law. which is equal to E0 sine omega t by R. Now this E0 by R is what? I0. I0 sine omega t. Clear? So I equals I0 sine omega t. Clear for you? So in this expression it is clear that I0 is equal to E0 by R with Ohm's law. So you can say that the resistors will work equally for AC as well as DC voltages. Resistors will work for AC as well as DC voltages. Now here if you are checking, this is the expression for current, that is I equal to I0 sine omega t, and the expression for EMF is E equal to E0 sine omega t. Is there any phase difference between two? No. Zero phase difference between the instantaneous alternating current and instantaneous alternating EMF, which means they are in the same phase. Clear? So once again, first we draw the circuit diagram, then expression for E, then expression for I. Is much clear? Now the fourth step is you have to draw a graph of E as well as I versus omega t. Understood? Graph E and I versus omega t. So the graph will be like this because there is no phase difference. Both will start from the same point. Okay. First we will draw the EMF like this. Clear? This is the peak value E0. Then current again starting from the same phase only. So either you can, if you are drawing above this line, it will not be visible, right? So you can draw like this, no problem. It doesn't mean that the amplitudes are changing, no problem for that. In this way you can write. And this is what? I0. Okay. Now this is omega t. So this is the graph for E and this is the graph for I. Okay. So this is the graphical representation. You know the phases, because 0, then it is pi, here it is 2 pi, like that it will go. So this is actually the graphical representation. Okay. Now we are moving to the next step, that is phasor diagram. Phasor diagram. So one should be very easily, they will understand by looking into a phasor diagram. That is, what is the variation between the I and E, or I0 and E0. Is there any phase difference between them? Everything is clear by looking into a phasor diagram. So for drawing a phasor diagram, first you need a y-axis, then x-axis. Okay. Now you have already seen that there is no phase difference between I and E. Clear? So single line is enough for I as well as E. So here itself you can represent E0. The projection is E. Okay. Again I0 also you can represent here. Let this be I0, and the projection will give you the instantaneous value I. The angle is omega t. For both it is omega t. Right. So this value is the instantaneous value E0 sine omega t, and this value is actually I0 sine omega. So this is the phasor diagram for purely resistive circuit. Clear for you? So with this we can stop the derivation part. That is, for a resistor only circuit, starting with the circuit diagram, then expression for E, then expression for I, okay, then the graphical representation, and finally phasor diagram. Likewise, we can do for any circuits. So now we are moving to the second circuit, that is AC circuit containing inductor only. Okay, AC circuit containing inductor. Inductive circuit. Purely inductive circuit. So, listen carefully. Second one, AC circuit containing inductor. So, AC circuit containing inductor only. So, this is the symbol used for inductor, okay, a coil-like structure. So, first step is to draw a circuit diagram, inductor, then you can use a key also, AC supply. Okay, so this EMF is E, which is equal to E naught sin omega t. This is the inductor, which is represented by the letter L. In the previous circuit we have seen it is a purely resistive circuit, resistance only circuit. This is a inductor only circuit. Clear? So current flows through the inductor. Now the second step is you have to write the expression for EMF. Okay. So for that, here you know it is an inductor, and when current flows through the inductor, what will happen is this inductor or this coil itself creates an induced EMF, which we call it as self-induction. Okay, so there is an induced EMF created here because of this supply. That is E, let it be small e. And small e is equal to minus L into di by dt. In the expression for self-induction, induced EMF is given as minus L into di by dt. Okay, where this E is the induced EMF and di by dt is the rate of change of current. Rate of change of current. Okay. Now to maintain the flow of current in the circuit, this applied voltage must be equal and opposite to the induced EMF. Then only the current flow will be maintained. That is, this E must be equal to minus E. This is the condition. Okay. The applied EMF and the induced EMF must be equal and opposite. E is equal to minus E. So in such a case, the expression for E you know, and the expression for minus E also you know. So you can write here E is equal to minus of minus L into di by dt, isn't it? That is L into di by dt. So E is equal to L into di by dt, and then from this expression you can take di, because our next step is to find the expression for current, right? That is di is equal to E into dt by L. Clear? E into dt by L. Now how to find I from di? As you will integrate, right? So integrating di, you will get E by L, integral of E by L dt. Now what is E here? E, as you know, it is E naught sin omega t. E naught sin omega t. That is integral of E naught sin omega t dt divided by L. Clear? E naught sin omega t by L into dt. Okay. Now from this, what is di? Integral of di is I, right? The constants you can take outside. It is E naught by L integral of sin omega t dt. What is integral of sin omega t? as it is minus cos omega t by omega. Therefore, E naught by L into minus cos omega t divided by omega. Or you can write it as minus E naught by omega L into cos omega t. Okay. Now cos theta you can represent in the form of sine function, that is sine pi by 2 minus theta. Right. Therefore, minus E naught by omega L into sine pi by 2 minus omega t. Sine pi by 2 minus omega t. This much clear? Because cos omega t is sine pi by 2 minus omega t. Okay. Now here there is a negative sign. So you can multiply inside. Therefore equation becomes E naught by omega L into sine omega t minus pi by 2. Clear? Sine omega t minus pi by 2. So now listen. Here, if sine omega t minus pi by 2 is the maximum value, which we take it as 1, then what is I? I is equal to I0. Isn't it? In this expression, I is equal to E0 by omega L sine omega t minus pi by 2. If this is a maximum value, means I is equal to I0. Clear? That is, this expression must be equal to I0, or I0 is equal to E0 by omega L. Okay. And how can you represent this expression again? You can represent it as I is equal to I0 sine omega t minus pi by 2. So what does this expression mean? As EMF for the value, this circuit is E is equal to E0 sine omega t. Okay. Now you got the expression as I0 sine omega t minus pi by 2. Clear? So there is a phase difference. What is the phase difference? You can see that the current lags behind EMF. Current is lagging behind the EMF or voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2. Or you can say the voltage leads the current by a phase angle of pi by 2. Clear? Here you can see pi by 2 is there. Here omega t. When you compare these two, the current is lagging behind this EMF by a factor of pi by 2. Or reversely you can say voltage is leading by a phase of pi by 2. So in a purely inductive circuit, there is a phase difference of pi by 2 by which the current is lagging behind the EMF. Clear for you? Now, in this expression or in this part of derivation, the next part is to what? Draw a graph. Isn't it? Graph for E and I versus omega t. So, let's check how do we draw the graph. So, first we can draw the EMF, that is a sine wave like this. Okay. Now, secondly, current. As I told, current is lagging behind at an angle of 90 degree. Therefore, it will start from here. EMF starts here and a pi by 2 lagging is there. So, from here it has to start. That means when it reaches pi by 2, this will reach where? Here only. Clear? Now, when it reaches pi, it will be at pi by 2. In such a way, there is a difference in the current flow. Clear for you? So, this is the current I naught and this is the EMF E naught. Okay. Now, phase 0, this is pi, then this is 2 pi, likewise it will go. This is the instantaneous EMF and this is the graph for current. Okay, this is the graphical representation. Clear? Only lagging behind 90 degree current or EMF leads current by 90 degree. Okay. Now the second part is, or the last part of this section is to draw the phasor diagram. Phasor diagram. How to draw a phasor diagram? Listen carefully. You can draw the axis like this. Okay. Now first of all, you can represent E here. E, which makes an angle omega t, because E is equal to E0 sine omega t. This is E. Okay. E naught. E naught. And this will give you E. Projection will give you E. Now the second part is, so this value is E naught sine omega t. Okay. Which is equal to E. Okay. Now the second part is current. You know, omega t minus pi by 2. Right. So how will you draw the current? S. Current will be like this. So this will be 90 degree. Okay. And this will represent I. This is the instantaneous value. And this is I naught sine omega t minus pi by 2. Clear? This is the phasor diagram. So, the phasor representing the peak EMF E naught always makes an angle omega t in the anti-clockwise direction from the horizontal axis. You can see that in this way it is moving, right? And in the last case, in the purely resistive circuit also, both I naught and E naught are in the anti-clockwise direction from the horizontal axis. As current lags behind the voltage by 90 degree, so the phasor representing I naught is turned 90 degree here. Okay, 90 degree clockwise with the direction of E naught. 90 degree clockwise with the direction of E naught. So the phasor representing I naught is actually 90 degree clockwise with the horizontal axis. So net effect is 90 minus omega t will give you the value for I naught. Understood? Now in this section, for the value of I naught, you know I naught is equal to E naught divided by omega L, isn't it? So I naught equal to E naught by omega L. When you compare this expression with I naught equal to E naught by R from Ohm's law, you know this R is actually the resistance, right? So omega L is analogous to the resistance. Omega L is analogous to the resistance and this is denoted as XL. Okay, XL is equal to omega L and this XL is known as inductive reactance. XL is known as inductive reactance. Clear? So this XL is the resistance in a inductive circuit. Understood? XL is the resistance in a inductive circuit. Also from this expression you can see that XL is equal to omega L, okay, and omega you know 2 pi f into L. Clear? So the dimensions of this inductive reactance is same as that of the resistance. As I told, when you compare this with normal reactive circuit, what is the value of R in resistive circuit? That is the value here for XL. Okay, so dimension of inductive reactance is same as that of resistance and its SI unit is ohm. Clear? That means this inductive reactance limits the current in a purely inductive circuit in the same way as the resistance limits the current in a purely resistive circuit. Okay, the job done by resistance in a purely resistive circuit is same as that of the job done by XL or the inductive reactance in a purely inductive circuit. Understood? And you can see that it is directly proportional to inductance and the frequency of the AC current. XL equal to omega L or XL equal to 2 pi FL, which means that this XL is directly proportional to frequency of AC as well as inductance. Okay, so as the frequency increases, XL also increases. As the frequency increases, XL also increases, means inductive reactance also increases. So there is a question here. If inductor is connected to a DC source, for a DC source, you know the frequency is equal to 0, isn't it? Frequency 0, which means that XL is equal to 0. Okay, therefore an inductor passes DC and blocks AC. XL 0 means is no resistance. No resistance means maximum amount of current can be passed. Okay, so when a DC circuit is considered, frequency is 0 and XL is equal to 0 because this XL depends upon frequency, and if frequency is 0 means XL is also equal to 0. Okay, so XL 0 means no resistance to the circuit, and if there is no resistance, 0 resistance, maximum amount of current can be passed, which means that DC can be passed. But at the same time, if you are considering AC, AC has certain frequency. So if there is frequency, surely there will be inductive reactance. If there is inductive reactance or resistance, what will happen is the current passage will be limited, which means it blocks AC. Understood? So an inductor always passes DC, very important question, and blocks AC of very high frequency. Okay, shorter frequency is okay, but it blocks AC of very high frequency. Clear for you? So that's all about the inductive circuit. Now we are moving to the capacitive circuit, that means AC through capacitor. If it is a purely capacitive circuit, what will be the values for current, or how the current, what is the phase difference between current and EMF, then the phasor diagram, wave pattern, etc. we want to discuss. So we'll move to the AC circuit containing capacitor. Okay. As I told, the first process is always to draw the circuit diagram. For that, we will draw the circuit diagram. You all know a capacitor. Now, capacitor is connected to an AC source. Okay, let it be E. So, our EMF is E equal to E0 sine omega t. Now you know, due to this EMF, charge will be produced and it will charge the plates of the capacitor with positive and negative charges. Okay, so when there is positive and negative charge, potential difference is created, and the potential difference across these plates is given as V, and V is equal to Q by C. We have studied this expression. V is equal to Q divided by C, or Q is equal to C into V. Isn't it? Now next our aim is to find the expression for current. So I is equal to dq by dt. Isn't it? That is d by dt of, what is Q here? Q is CV. For V you can put the value E because it is EMF. EMF we are discussing here. So you can write it as CE. Okay, CE. Now the value for E, you know, it is E0 sine omega t. Therefore d by dt of C E0 sine omega t. That is C is constant. Then E0 is constant, right? D by dt of sine omega t. Sine theta. D by dt of sine theta is what? Cos theta, isn't it? So C E0 cos omega t into omega. This constant will also be multiplied with this. So cos omega t into omega. Is much clear? Now just rearranging this expression, I can write this as E0 divided by 1 by C omega. No problem, right? When you take this C omega, it will be the same equation. So E naught or E0 divided by 1 by C omega into cos omega t. Clear? Now this cos omega t can be written as E0 sin omega t plus pi by 2. Okay, 1 by C omega. So E naught by 1 by C omega into sin omega t plus pi by 2. Right? Now if I is maximum when this value is 1. At that time you can compare I equal to I naught, isn't it? So what is I naught from this expression? I naught is E naught divided by 1 by C omega. Okay, E naught by 1 by C omega. So this expression you can change like I is equal to I naught into sin omega t plus pi by 2. Sin omega t plus pi by 2. Clear? So in this expression, it is clear that here the current leads EMF by a factor of pi by 2. In the inductive circuit, you got the expression as minus pi by 2, which means that in the inductive circuit, the current is lagging behind the voltage by a factor of pi by 2, whereas in the case of a capacitor circuit, it leads the voltage by a factor of pi by 2. Okay. Now we can draw the graph. Next step is to draw the graph. So for that, as always, EMF. Okay. And here you know the current is leading. So when the EMF is at 0, current starts actually at 90, right? So from here you have to start. Okay. So this is the graph in which the current is leading the voltage, right? So it will start from here and that variation can be shown in the graph. Understood? Now the last step, now for drawing the phasor diagram, as you know, the phasor representing the peak EMF E0 makes an angle omega t in the anti-clockwise direction with respect to the horizontal axis. Okay. Now, as the current, you know, in this capacitive circuit, the current leads the EMF by a factor of pi by 2. So, the phasor representing I0 is turned anti-clockwise. Okay, anti-clockwise with the phasor representing E0 at an angle of 90 degree. So, we can draw here, which makes an angle of 90 degree. So, this is the phasor representing I0. And this will give you the instantaneous value I. Okay, here it is E. And this difference is actually I0 sin omega t plus pi by 2. Clear? So this is a phasor diagram for purely capacitive circuit. Okay. Now we have seen that I naught is equal to E naught divided by 1 by C omega. Okay. In this expression, it is analogous to I naught is equal to E naught by R, and you can see the role of resistance in a purely resistive circuit is actually done by this quantity 1 by C omega, and this 1 by C omega is known as XC. Okay. And the name is capacitive reactance. Capacitive reactance. The opposing nature of capacitor to the flow of alternating current is called capacitive reactance. Okay, the same as that of resistance in a purely resistive circuit. And the dimension will be same as that of resistance. Okay, then the unit is ohm itself. The capacitive reactance limits the amplitude of the current in a purely capacitive circuit in the same way as the resistance limits the current in a purely resistive circuit. And in this you can see that it is inversely proportional to the frequency and capacitance. So if frequency of AC increases, this capacitive reactance decreases. Okay, so when capacitor is connected to a DC source, you can see that Xc is equal to 1 by C omega, and for DC this frequency is 0, so 1 by 0, which means that infinity. Xc is infinity, which means that a capacitor blocks DC. Infinite value of capacitive reactance is there. That means that much resistance is provided by the capacitive reactance. So in the case of a capacitor, it actually blocks DC. Okay, it won't allow DC to pass through it, but it allows AC to pass through, because for AC there is frequency, and for higher frequency the capacitive reactance will be very small, isn't it? So for high frequency AC, this capacitor allows it to pass through it. You can say that it acts as an open circuit. This capacitive circuit acts as an open circuit while it passes AC of high frequency. Okay. Here it will be acting like an open circuit, but for AC it allows, even though it is of high frequency, because here Xc is inversely proportional to 1 by C omega. So Xc is inversely proportional to the capacitance and the frequency. As the frequency increases, Xc decreases. So Xc decreases means current can be passed through it. That is why it allows AC while it blocks DC. Understood? So that's all about the individual circuits like resistor, then inductor and capacitor. In the next class, we will study the combinations of LC, then LR, CR, etc. And finally, we will move to LCR circuit. Okay, so go through this topic clearly and get ready for the next class. Thank you.